Even though it opened in 1951, the story actually dates back to 1876.
It was the Mechanics Institute Library, and it was just like one room in a schoolhouse.
148 books on the shelves.
You had to pay a membership fee to access the collection, so it really wasn't how we imagine a library today.
It moved, I think, 8 times. They wouldn't let it die.
There was space in the fire hall. There was rented rooms above storefronts. Anywhere where there was space that the library could be placed, it moved into.
In 1900, the town of Port Arthur basically took over responsibility for the library, and then it became the Port Arthur Public Library.
And that's a huge change. It was recognized as something more official than a member, sort of volunteer-run organization. So now we're moving towards a more free public library available to the entire community.
In 1911, people can now borrow books for free. This is a new concept at the time. People can borrow things for free. Also in 1911, they actually purchased a plot of land on Waverley Street.
And they purchased it for $12,500.
So they had this plot of land, but it took 4 decades after that for them to actually open the library.
We go down the steps, we come down, and then either my son goes right towards the train, and my daughter just goes up and looks around to see if there's any friends or books, and if the playroom is open, and then zoom, they go off to play.
I found I could have these great conversations about all these books that I was reading, because they'd notice I'd walk out with, a rather large stack.
In fact, you could get 6 books at a time in the summertime, and there was only one channel on television. Reading became quite a joy. It opened up so many doors I didn't even know they were being opened because I was having so much fun reading.
And eventually, once they're done with the toys, they want to come in here, and if she sees a good book, she wants me to read the book. But I'm also looking for books because we just returned 50 books. I want to get 50 plus more books.
I'd get a phone call saying, the title you've asked for is now available for pickup. And I think, I don't remember putting anything on hold. Turned out that she had done this for me, and I'd look at the book and she'd pop up saying, I really love this. I thought you might. I love that. You can't get that from online searches. You can't get that connection.
When you come to the library, you see people who still have a zest for life, love learning. It's also, I think, a nice, safe, social place to be. It's a comfort zone, and it's a place where people know I'm always going to discover something new at the library.
Fort William's public library is growing and developing, and Port Arthur's is still in rental accommodation. In the 1920s, this became a really big deal. And at that point, you've got letters to the editor, you've got editorials, you've got the library board really actively lobbying.
A 1927 editorial put it bluntly, Port Arthur had no library.
Then in the 30s, Andrew Angus drew up plans for the library. We've got plans for a library. We don't have the funding yet, but we've got the plans. However, with the Depression and the Second World War, that really thwarted things. We go basically another, 10, 15 years of no movement. And in 1948, things come to a head. In 1948, the board requests the city for $130,000 to build a library. And the city doesn't make a decision. The city puts the decision to the public.
It went right to the ballot box. Citizens can vote yay or nay.
And they vote overwhelmingly yes. So I think it was 3,140 people voted yes to 1,662 who were against it. It's great numbers and a great story to know that so many people really wanted that building and that permanent location.
The citizens of Port Arthur, they overwhelmingly said yes to this idea. They wanted a permanent home for their library. Public libraries mean a lot to people, and this is just one example of that.
So my kids grew up in this library. There were twice weekly events that could not be missed. We planned our lives around them.
So my first encounter with the library after our daughter was born was there are people here and they're friendly. As a maritimer, that's important.
When they were old enough to get their first library card, it was a librarian who mentioned it, like, Sammy, isn't it about time you had your own library card? And my God, I think he grew an inch in that very moment. He was so proud to acknowledge that he knew exactly what to do with a library card, and now it was his first personal ID. And he still keeps it on his keychain, his little mini card, and in his wallet, front and center, his library card.
And so that engagement of being welcomed, especially when you've just landed in a city that you don't know very well, you want to help other people feel welcome. So when seeing parents with a new baby, or when they also seem a little bit scared and you feel like you want to welcome them as well because they know you could benefit from here, because we benefit from here and we feel a lot better in the world because of this place.
Good afternoon, everybody.
And we work really hard to build that sense of community here in this branch. And it is an active and everyday intentional decision to build that. It is not enough to build space and they will come. They won't come, because they will come, but they won't stay if the community isn't here. And it is an intentional decision every single day on staff's part that those relationships and those outcomes happen.
May 25th, 1951, the doors open. It's in the evening, they open it up to the public. 1 week later is the official opening. That's basically the start of the building we see today, 75 years later. And it's still the heart of everything.
But by the 60s, it had already outgrown the space. And that was a common issue of the time.
At one point in time, they're putting books on windowsills. There's no room. They need more space. I think the librarian at the time was like, we need triple the amount of space. January 1970, the sister cities of Fort William and Port Arthur amalgamate into the city of Thunder Bay. Now the two libraries are now the Thunder Bay Public Library.
There was, I think, more movement towards, all right, Waverley really needs that expansion. We've got Fort William and Port Arthur, who are now Thunder Bay, and we need some equity in our library service. In 1974, Waverley finally gets their expansion.
It goes from 11,000 square feet to 25,000 square feet. And that's the building you see today. The addition, the original, that's what it is right now.
In 1979, they finally get their name Waverley. From that Mechanics Institute Library to the Arthur Street Library, finally we have our Waverley Library.
The thing about 75 years is that's one person's life. But it's also at least 3 people, because there's the era of being a child, the era of being a student, the era of being a parent, the era of being a grandparent, the era of being an adult who just needs your own space and time. Thank you very much. And now that we've made it through 75 years of this space holding all of that for so many of us, I hope we celebrate the capacity to have another 75. And 75 beyond that, to grow in this space together. That's really what's worth partying. It's not that we got this far, but that this is only the beginning.
I love the fact that whatever happens with the next generation, that the library is going to find a way to take care of them. I'm excited about that.
All we do is adapt, adapt, adapt.
At one time we loaned records. We later loaned laser discs. We had books on cassette, then books on CD. Now we also have digital downloads. So it's always growing and ensuring that people have access to these resources they might not by themselves.
We're serving a community, and whatever that community needs, we're going to try to identify it and basically help out for free. For free. All you need is a library card. The tools have changed, but the purpose hasn't. It's a place to learn, a place to connect, and a place to belong.